1829, French physician Jean Lugols concocted Lugols Iodine. I got just a few grams of this 7% powder, which was enough to make a full liter of Lugols Iodine, probably enough to get me through an entire apocalypse. Initially, it was tested as a treatment for tuberculosis, but spoiler alert, it didn't quite pan out for that. However, it didn't take long for folks to realize Lugols had other tricks up its sleeve. By the mid-1800s, it was the go-to antiseptic and disinfectant. Doctors splashed it on wounds and used it to sterilize surgical tools. This was a big deal in an era where infections were a coin toss after surgery. After the 1986 Chernobyl disaster, Poland handed out Lugols iodine to millions, blocking radioactive iodine from lodging in thyroids and cutting cancer risks. Just a few drops of Lugols can also disinfect sketchy water in apocalyptic situations, when clean water is really hard to find. It's not tasty and not FDA approved for this, but it's a survival hack, so grab some through the link in my bio just in case. Nowadays, Lugols iodine is more often used as a supplement to support thyroid function, metabolism, and overall health. Let me know if you've heard of any other ways Lugols has been used. Hello Micromend, the pricey love child of staples and steri strips. If there's a clean cut that's not too serious but obviously needs some stitches, clean up the blood so the wound edges are nice and dry. Make sure there's no risk of getting bitten by the patient. Then remove the Micromend strips from their sterile package. Only touching the white tabs, peel one off and stick it to one side of the wound, pressing down on it with your index finger. Pull on the tab to bring the wound edges together, then slide your index finger to press on both sides at the same time. Yank the tab off, but keep pressing down on the stitch for a few more seconds to ensure the microstaples are fully lodged in the skin and the glue is stuck. Now all of the tension pulling the wound apart is on this piece of metal, which is perfect because metals have high tensile strength and are less likely to break than sutures. The downside is a single Micromend stitch costs $10, so a full wound closure may bring you down over $50 compared to getting stitches, which are usually just $5 a pack. But Micromend won't work as well in every situation, like when the wound is still bleeding and the patient is too fuzzy. Goodbye stitches, hello Micromend, the pricey love child of staples and steri strips. If there's a clean cut that's not too serious but obviously needs some stitches, clean up the blood so the wound edges are nice and dry. Make sure there's no risk of getting bitten by the patient. Then remove the Micromend strips from their sterile package. Only touching the white tabs, peel one off and stick it to one side of the wound, pressing down on it with your index finger. Pull on the tab to bring the wound edges together, then slide your index finger to press on both sides at the same time. Yank the tab off, but keep pressing down on the stitch for a few more seconds to ensure the microstaples are fully lodged in the skin and the glue is stuck. Now all of the tension pulling the wound apart is on this piece of metal, which is perfect because metals have high tensile strength and are less likely to break than sutures. The downside is a single Micromend stitch costs $10, so a full wound closure may bring you down over $50 compared to getting stitches, which are usually just $5 a pack. But Micromend won't work as well in every situation, like when the wound is still bleeding and the patient is too fuzzy. To get Micromend for your first aid kit, go to the Vet Ventures Amazon storefront through the link in my bio. Let's practice the chopsticks method of applying surgical staples, a technique for all you lonely surgeons that have no one to help keep the skin stable as you staple. Take 2 pairs of adsom forceps, which are the ones with rat-like teeth. Hold the first pair in pencil grip between your thumb and index finger of your non-dominant hand as usual, but then add the second pair of forceps between the index and middle fingers of the same hand, as if you were trying to hold a pair of chopsticks. Use each forceps to stabilize one edge of the wound and bring the edges together in an inverted fashion so it's ready for your dominant hand to apply the staples with a skin staple gun. To use the skin stapler, hold it with your thumb resting on top, your index finger nestled in this corner, and the other 3 fingers on the trigger. Place the gum firmly over the wound, but don't indent the skin. Make sure that the little arrow at the tip of the gun is exactly in the middle of the wound to ensure the staples take even bites on either side. When you're ready, squeeze the stapler to fire into the skin. If properly placed, the crossbar of the staples should be elevated a few millimeters above the skin surface. This will allow you to easily slide the staple remover under them for removal. If you don't have enough non-dominant hand dexterity to do the chopstick maneuver, have an assistant stabilize the skin for you with their thumb and forefinger or using 2 adsom forceps. Use code VETVENTURES10 to get 10% off your proximity suture pad and start practicing. Why are surgeons doodling birds on skin? Skin is stretchy, so little round holes can be closed by pulling surrounding skin over them. But this leads to these annoying dog ears. To prevent that, triangles with a 30-degree angle at the apex can be excised next to the lesion and parallel to the pull of tension to make the hole elliptical. But thanks to east to west advancement flaps, this second triangle does not necessarily need to be excised next to the defect. It can be anywhere along this line extending from the base of the defect as long as it points in the opposite direction to the first triangle. As you can see, this allows closure of the skin defect without excessive tension or the formation of dog ears. This trick also gives more flexibility and helps hide parts of the scar in natural creases. And you can even use east-west skin flaps if you have to deal with two lesions close to each other like this. Draw a line tangential to both lesions, and instead of excising two triangles of skin for each one, just draw one triangle for each pointing in opposite directions, which is, by the way, why these are called east to west flaps. This way you save the two extra triangles of skin you would otherwise need to excise to close each one of these defects. So now you know in case anyone asks. Around 150 years ago, rubber bands were saving lives. Just a few years after their invention in 1845, surgeon Dr. Attlee from Philadelphia started using them as surgical sutures. He poked some needles through the edges of a wound about an inch apart, then took a tube of India rubber of the perfect diameter and cut little rubber bands that fit neatly around the needles to pull the wound edges together. This India rubber suture technique is similar to the more ancient twisted suture technique that uses suture material instead of rubber bands. But the use of rubber bands is perfect for situations where you expect there to be a lot of inflammation and swelling, as they allow the suture to expand and contract with the wound to relieve tension, while always keeping the edges of the wound together for speedy healing. In contrast, twisted sutures will not expand under tension, so if there's any swelling, they will dig into and damage the expanding skin. India rubber sutures can also be really quick to apply, especially if small bands are used that only need to go around the needle once. Unfortunately, with the widespread use of modern suture materials, this technique seems to have been forgotten, but maybe it can inspire the creation of a new stretchy suture material. When you snap a glass ampule, teensy-weensy shards of glass rain into the medication. If you then use a regular needle to draw up, those shards will end up in the syringe and then be injected straight into your patient's bloodstream. That's why needles with built-in filters are a must when drawing from ampules to trap those microscopic particles before reaching the syringe. But never ever inject your patients with a filter needle. For one, it's too blunt. Ouch. But more importantly, the pressure from injecting will force any trapped particles right back out of the filter and into your patient, which defeats the whole purpose of using a filter needle in the first place. Filter needles can also come in handy when drawing up reconstituted medications, because sometimes not all the powder plays nice and dissolves, so you end up with little floaties and precipitates that have no business being injected. The surgical tip stitch for V-shaped lacerations often causes the tip of skin to be pulled down, so the edges of the wound are not perfectly opposed and averted for best healing. That's why sometimes surgeons prefer to use the vertical mattress tip stitch technique instead. The first bite is taken far from the tip, then through the deep dermis of the tip, but still relatively far from the tippity tip itself. Now take another far bite out through the contralateral non-tip skin. So far these steps have been almost identical to the regular tip stitch, but instead of finishing with a surgeon's knot here, a near bite is taken back towards the tip, followed by a bite through the deep dermis near to the tippity tip. And lastly, a near bite is taken through the non-tip skin on the other side. Now you can finally finish it off with a surgeon's knot to secure the tip in place. As you can see, the tip is slightly lifted and prevented from sinking like in the regular tip stitch. This aversion of wound edges helps by bending both wound edges to the sky to result in better dermis to dermis approximation. Can someone please tell me how many times did I have to say the word tip in this video? By the way, great news, the mini suture buddy pads are back in stock. You'll find the link in my bio. V-shaped skin flaps often come in happy face or sad face configurations. Of course, you can have sideways variations too. Happy skin flaps have a far lower chance of dying because blood can easily flow to the tip to keep it alive, but poking the tip with lots of sutures can also inhibit healing. The corner stitch, aka tip stitch, secures the tip with the least amount of disruption. Just insert the needle through the non-tip skin going towards the tip, then reload the needle, reflect the tip back with forceps, and take a bite through the deep dermis of the tip. Now just take the last bite out through the contralateral non-tip skin going away from the tip. At this point, you can tie a surgeon's knot to pull everything together and secure the tip in place. But the tip stitch often causes the tip skin to be pulled down deeper than the surrounding wound edges, so the edges of the wound are not averted for optimal healing. That's where the vertical mattress tip stitch technique comes in to solve this problem. I will cover it in the next video. But until then, the mini suture buddy pads are back in stock. They are quickly selling out though, so use code VETVENTURES to get 10% off the most affordable, high-quality suture buddy pad and start practicing. Patients with thin atrophic skin need special sutures to prevent cheese wiring of their skin. To place a running oblique mattress suture, start with an anchoring stitch at one end of the wound, securing it into place with a surgeon's knot. Reload the needle in forehand and take near bites on either side of the wound. Pull the suture through, then reload the needle in backhand. Now take far bites going in the opposite direction. These broader anchoring bites of the oblique mattress suture are what limit the suture from tearing through the skin. It also helps avert wound edges to allow better dermis to dermis contact, which is is essential for ideal results when healing. Although I am using thick suture material for demonstration purposes, to make it easier for you to see, it is best to use the thinnest suture possible in order to minimize the risk of track marks left by the suture and foreign body reactions. The only exception to this is if the wound is under a lot of tension. Then a thicker suture material might be needed. Other sutures that might be appropriate for thin atrophic skin include the lattice stitch, and sometimes the steri-strip combo technique may also work. Use code VetVentures to get 10% off the most affordable, high-quality suture buddy pad and start practicing.